Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Peace and Wisdom. Have you ever felt like your life was about to turn upside down? That, despite the trials and obstacles, something greater was brewing. Perhaps you are going through a difficult time, or you are at a point where everything seems uncertain. What if these moments were not endings but beginnings? Allah, in His infinite wisdom, never leaves a soul alone to face its challenges. What you think is a closing door could well be the signal for a new chapter, a complete rewriting of your destiny. You are here for a reason. You feel this weight, this doubt, this expectation, because Allah is laying the foundations for a miracle that you cannot yet imagine. In this video, we'll explore 5 powerful signs that Allah is about to rewrite your story. These signs, subtle but transformative, are evidence that He hears your prayers, sees your tears, and is preparing an outcome for you far better than you expected. Stay with me because what you're about to hear could change your life forever. 1. When the ordeal becomes a hidden mercy, it's easy to get lost in the appearance of trials. When they hit, they can feel overwhelming, even cruel. Sometimes all you feel is a heaviness on your heart, a weight that never seems to let go. You may ask yourself, why me? Why now? Why so many difficulties? But know that each ordeal you go through is much more than simple suffering. She is a key, a door to something greater. Imagine arid ground, hard and cracked by the desert heat. Then one day, it rains. The drops fall one by one, but only after a while does the moisture begin to penetrate deeply, nourishing the earth. This is how the trial acts on our hearts. At first, everything seems like an unbearable burden, a pain that seems endless. But little by little, with every drop of patience, every moment of faith, the soul begins to regenerate. Difficulties reveal the depth of your faith. They awaken an inner strength that you didn't even know existed. This strength does not come from yourself, but from Allah, who guides you in the darkness to lead you towards the light. The sufferings we endure, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, are often the first steps in a divine process. They make way for a transformation that only Allah can orchestrate. He never abandons you. Each moment of pain, each moment of doubt is an opportunity to get closer to Him, to purify one's heart, to reorient oneself towards the essential. Allah says, in His infinite mercy, "And we will certainly test you with a little fear and hunger and loss of goods, people, and fruits, and give good tidings to those who are long-suffering." Surah Al-Baqarah 2:155. These verses remind us of a powerful truth. Trials are part of God's plan. They are not there to destroy us, but to redefine us, to purify us, to transform us. They come to shake our ego and remind us that everything we have, everything we are, is only by the will of Allah. By going through a trial, we become more aware of our weakness, of our total dependence on Him. This pushes us to pray more sincerely, to seek His forgiveness and guidance more ardently. In this process, it is easy to feel lost, to believe that the end is near. But know that in these moments of vulnerability, Allah teaches you patience and invites you to seek refuge with Him. Each trial then becomes an opportunity to purify your heart, to open it more to divine mercy. It is essential to understand that patience does not mean simply passively accepting trials. True patience lies in the attitude with which you face them. It is an act of faith, an act of submission. It's understanding that behind every suffering there is a blessing that you may not see right away, but that over time will become evident. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, never gives us more than we can handle. In reality, every trial has the potential to reveal a hidden blessing. Maybe the pain of loss brought you closer to those you love, or the struggle in your job taught you the value of perseverance and gratitude. Perhaps you have discovered a deeper faith, a purer meaning of life, a more intense appreciation for the little things. You may begin to understand that this trial was not a burden, but a gift in disguise, an opportunity to rewrite your story, a chance for Allah to bring you closer to Him. Sometimes we have to weather the storm to appreciate the sweetness of the sun. You may have to endure the cold to enjoy the warmth. You may be wondering, How do I know if this ordeal is a sign that Allah is rewriting my story? The answer is simple. When you feel this unwavering trust in Him, even in the darkest moments, you know He is preparing you for something greater. Patience makes you stronger. Faith purifies you. And beyond the suffering, you begin to perceive the signs of divine mercy which envelop you. With each step of this transformation, you are being shaped to become the best version of yourself, a version closer to the soul you were meant to be. Every trial that strikes is an invitation to turn to Allah, to seek His mercy and His infinite wisdom. And every moment you cling to Him, you are being rewritten by His merciful hand, even without you being fully aware of it. 2. A heart that turns to the remembrance of Allah. There are times in life when the whole world seems to be collapsing around you. The trials are so heavy that every breath seems like a struggle. And yet in the midst of this whirlwind, you find a strange peace, as if something deep in your heart is calming, comforting. It is in these moments that you feel the divine presence, like a gentle whisper that invites you to remember Him. These moments are not a coincidence. When your thoughts turn to Allah, even in complete darkness, you are experiencing a silent miracle. It is not a simple habit or a mechanical act. No, it is a heart that remembers that there is only true peace in the presence of Allah. When you recite Subhanallah or Alhamdulillah, it is not a simple verbal consolation, but a profound act of faith, an act of reorienting your soul. These words carry with them a promise. I am here for you, even in the darkest times. Allah has given us an invaluable gift, that of the constant reminder of His presence. But this gift is not limited to a simple series of words spoken. It is a true state of mind, a way of living. As it says in the verse, those who believe and whose hearts are tranquilized by the remembrance of Allah. Is it not by the evocation of Allah that their hearts are tranquilized? Surah Ar-Ra'd 13:28. The evocation of Allah is not limited to the recitation of words. It is a continuous state, a constant connection with the Creator. Every time you remember Allah, every time your heart turns to Him, you become closer to Him. You are not just living, you are reliving your story. A story where Allah is the center, where each event takes on a deeper meaning. A heart that turns to the remembrance of Allah is a heart in full transformation. He no longer seeks peace in the things of this world, but in the intimate relationship with Him who has absolute control over all that exists. Instead of getting lost in the search for validation, pleasure, or security in this ephemeral world, this heart finds fulfillment in love and trust in Allah. The world may shatter around it, but the soul remains grounded in a peace that surpasses anything the world can offer. Over time, this subtle process rewrites your story. Your view of life, suffering, and happiness changes. You begin to understand that everything you experience, whether joy or pain, is part of the divine plan. You stop living for this world and start living for the hereafter. This transformation is gradual, but it is inevitable. As soon as your heart aligns with the remembrance of Allah, you become a traveler in this world, ready to give everything for the love and satisfaction of the Creator. That peace you feel in the simple act of saying Subhanallah or thinking of Him is a testimony of His mercy. Allah does not need our worship, but it is through His remembrance that we find our essence, that we understand what we were created to do. When you turn to Him, you enter a state of divine tranquility, a state where you are no longer concerned about what you lose, but about what you gain in being with Him. Also, this change in your heart is not limited to an isolated moment. It manifests itself in your daily actions. The way you react to difficulties, to the life that presents itself to you, begins to transform. You become more patient, more tolerant, more humble. The constant reminder of Allah purifies your heart, ridding it of grudges, pride, and material desires. You begin to understand that this world is only a passage, and that the true purpose of life is to get closer to Allah, to achieve that deep peace that can only be found in Him. When your heart turns to the remembrance of Allah, you realize that your story no longer depends on what you have, what you experience, or what you lose. It depends on how you react to all of this. And this is where Allah begins to rewrite your story. In every moment you seek refuge with Him, in every moment of inner tranquility that invades you, in every sincere prayer where you abandon yourself completely into His hands. You are experiencing a silent but powerful transformation. This transformation, fueled by the constant reminder of Allah, leads you towards a goal greater than you can imagine. You begin to live no longer for yourself, but for Him. And it is in this submission, in this return to Him, that your true story is revealed. A story of peace, patience, faith, and total submission to divine will. 3. Unexpected opportunities present themselves. There are times in life when, after periods of darkness and struggle, you feel a sudden light, as if doors have opened where you saw only walls. You may have gone through trials that seemed endless, times when everything seemed against you. And then, as if by miracle, an opportunity presents itself. A path is revealed, a breath of fresh air in the stifling heat. This is a clear sign that Allah is rewriting your history. Trials, while painful, often serve to set the stage for blessings you never imagined. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, sometimes deprives us of what we think is essential, to give us something much greater. We've all been in that situation where we hated a loss, a disappointment, or a hardship, only to realize that that loss was actually a hidden gain, a stepping stone to something better. It is said in the Holy Book, "It may be that you hate a thing although it is good for you, and it may be that you love a thing although it is evil for you. And Allah knows, but you do not know." Surah Al-Baqarah 2216. These words are an invitation to trust. When you're going through something, you can't always understand everything that's happening. Sometimes what seems like a loss is actually preparation for a much greater victory. The unexpected opportunities that arise after times of trial are not the result of chance, but signs of divine mercy and wisdom. Allah knows what is best for you, even when you don't understand right away. He knows exactly what your heart needs, even when your desires are thwarted by trials. These opportunities often manifest themselves in surprising forms: an unexpected encounter, advice that seems to be given at the precise moment you need it, an idea that suddenly pops into your mind. It's like the pieces of the puzzle of your life are starting to fall into place, in ways you could never have anticipated. These moments can be turning points, subtle but significant changes that lead you to greater horizons. When you're going through a trial, your eyes are often closed in pain, and it's easy to focus only on what you're losing. But as you move forward with patience and faith, you begin to see those little openings, those divine signs that what you thought was an ending was actually just a new beginning. These opportunities are reminders of the generosity of Allah, who, in His infinite wisdom, prepares us for something greater, something more in line with our true destiny. Life doesn't work by chance, even though sometimes it may seem like it. Every event, every encounter, every trial is part of a larger divine plan than we can perceive as a whole. When you find yourself at a crossroads, when you are faced with choices or decisions, know that behind every door that opens, there is a sign of the direction you are supposed to follow. Allah never leaves a believer without guidance, and every difficulty crosses a path paved with divine opportunities. These opportunities are not limited to external events. Sometimes the greatest opportunity is internal, a change in your heart, a new perspective on life, a spiritual awakening that leads you to rediscover your priorities. These moments of epiphany, these inner clarifications, are powerful signs that Allah is rewriting your story. You become more resilient, wiser, more attentive to His guidance. You realize that the events in your life, no matter how surprising or confusing they may be, are actually steps on a path that only Allah fully knows. In times when everything seems uncertain, when pain makes you doubt and fatigue weighs you down, remember that every trial hides a divine opportunity. The doors open, sometimes slowly, sometimes abruptly, but always in their own time, in Allah's way. Don't be in a hurry. Don't try to force things. Sometimes the best action to take is to submit completely to God's will. Remain calm and patient, and wait in faith for the path to unfold before you. When you begin to understand this, to see the signs in every turn, your perspective on life changes. You no longer focus on what you have lost, but on what is to come, knowing that what you are losing has been taken away to make room for something much greater and more valuable. Allah rewrites you, not only through trials, but also through the blessings that follow, blessings that surpass anything you imagined. 4. An inexplicable peace in times of storm. There are moments in life when everything around you seems to be falling apart. The tests follow one another, the challenges multiply, and you find yourself in the heart of a storm that you did not choose. The world around you screams uncertainty, worries, and fears. Yet in the midst of this chaos, there is a strange peace, an inner tranquility that seems to appear out of nowhere, like an oasis of calm in a burning desert. It is a peace that cannot be explained by human logic, but which is experienced, felt deeply in your soul. This peace, far from being the result of chance, is in reality a divine blessing. Allah, in His great mercy, grants you a spiritual shield against the storm of life. It is a sign that your faith protects you, that you are enveloped in divine light, even when darkness seems to reign around you. This inner calm is the manifestation of total trust in the one who controls the universe. It is a reminder that even in the fiercest storm, Allah is there, always present, always ready to guide you. The following verse reminds us of this profound truth. Allah is the defender of those who believe. He brings them out of darkness into light. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:257. Allah, as protector, never abandons those who have faith in Him. No matter the trials, He always guides them towards the light, even if, in the moment, everything seems uncertain. This light is not found in external circumstances, but in the very heart of the believer. When a person is immersed in faith, they begin to see the world through a divine lens. The storms of life, instead of destroying them, become opportunities to strengthen one's connection with Allah. The peace you feel in the darkest moments is therefore a sign that your faith has become a true shield. It does not protect you from trials, but it protects you from the fear and confusion that these trials can cause. You do not allow yourself to be overwhelmed by fear, because you know that everything that happens to you is part of the divine plan, and that in every difficulty there is a hidden wisdom that you cannot yet understand. It is in these moments of inexplicable peace that you begin to feel the love and mercy of Allah in a deeper way. You feel like a weary traveler who finally finds shelter in a storm. This peace is the light that illuminates your path, the certainty that even if you don't immediately understand what is happening, you are exactly where Allah wants you to be. Through this peace, Allah shows you that, despite challenges, you are supported by His infinite strength. You realize that everything that happens, even the things that seem to crush you, has a purpose, and that nothing happens without Allah's permission. It is an invitation to let go of the control you thought you had over your life, and to trust the one who is writing your story. It is in these moments that you begin to understand that true peace does not come from external circumstances, but from your heart, from your intimate relationship with Allah. This peace is a sign that your story is changing, that you are on a path greater than you imagined. The storm does not disappear immediately, but your heart is now stronger, more stable. You are experiencing a process of spiritual transformation that is leading you to a purer and deeper faith. When you feel this peace, remember that it is a grace from Allah. It is not something you can create on your own, but a divine gift, a clear sign that you are changing, that your destiny is being rewritten under divine guidance. You are no longer the same person you were before the storm. You have been transformed by this peace, by the certainty that you are never alone in your trials. Allah the Almighty is always there to protect you, to guide you, to bring you back to His light, no matter how intense the darkness around you. This inner change, this passage from darkness to light, is a sign that you are rewriting yourself spiritually. You are moving towards a brighter path where each trial is a step closer to Allah, where each difficulty is an opportunity to grow in faith and confidence. In this inexplicable peace, you find the strength to continue, to persevere, and to believe that everything is in the hands of Allah, the Master of the Day of Judgment and of all existence. 5. A visible inner transformation. There comes a time in life when you begin to notice something deep shifting inside of you. It's subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but gradually you realize that you're not quite the same person anymore. You have changed, but this change is not only manifested externally in your visible actions, but also in the purity of your intentions and the sincerity of your prayers. Your heart feels lighter, more detached from material distractions. and you feel a hunger for spiritual connection that you may have never known before. This inner change is the most striking sign that something divine is happening in your life. This is the time when Allah begins to rewrite your story from your soul. You feel a strong conviction that you are not just surviving life, but that you are rising spiritually, with every step, in every moment. This process of transformation, although intimate and personal, results in external signs that cannot be ignored. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, guides us through this process of purification and inner transformation. As He says in the Holy Book, "Whoever believes in Allah, He guides his heart." Surah At-Taghabun 64:11. This verse is a testimony to the great mercy of Allah. When you truly believe in Him, when you surrender your heart to Him, He begins to guide it. This process of guidance is not limited to external events or particular circumstances. It begins within you, in your heart, in your mind. Faith is not limited to visible actions, but is deeply reflected in the way you see the world, in the way you feel about things, and in the way you respond to life's challenges. Perhaps you are beginning to feel that your prayers are no longer just a routine, but a real moment of encounter with your Creator. You find yourself praying with an intensity you have never known, bowing down with deep humility, reconnecting with Allah in a more sincere way. It is no longer just an obligation, but a thirst for closeness, a desire for purification. You no longer seek to perform your prayers to fulfill a duty, but to get closer to the One who guides you. This sincerity in prayer is often accompanied by a greater awareness of your intentions. You begin to realize that every act, no matter how small, must be purified and directed only towards Allah. This purification of intentions is another stage of inner transformation. You seek to act for His satisfaction, not for the looks or approval of others. The material begins to lose its appeal, and the spiritual becomes the true source of your satisfaction and happiness. This detachment from material things is also a clear sign of your inner transformation. You realize that this world is only a stage, a passage, and that the essential thing is to prepare for the afterlife. You no longer allow yourself to be distracted by ephemeral goods, but you aspire to the lasting peace of the soul, that which only the proximity of Allah can bring. Earthly concerns, although still present, no longer dominate your heart as before. You feel a new freedom, a spiritual lightness, as if you were finally freed from the influence of the material. This visible inner transformation is not limited to prayer or external acts. It also manifests itself in the way you treat others, in your relationships, in your daily behavior. You become more patient, more tolerant, more empathetic. You realize that every interaction is an opportunity to illustrate the goodness and mercy of Allah, that every word, every smile, every gesture can be an act of faith. You begin to understand that true transformation does not just happen in the mosque or during times of prayer, but in the way you act and react in your daily life. This development is also a sign of how Allah is shaping your heart to make it an instrument of His light. You are no longer who you were before, even if you didn't always see it. Your story is being rewritten in moments of sincerity, dedication, and detachment from material. You free yourself from the chains of worldly desires and direct yourself towards a higher goal, the satisfaction of Allah, the love of Allah, and preparation for eternity. The signs of this inner transformation are powerful because they reveal that you are experiencing a spiritual rewriting. You begin to realize that everything that happens to you is a way for Allah to purify your heart and deepen your faith. Each trial then becomes an opportunity to refine your relationship with Him, and each blessing becomes a reminder of His infinite mercy. You are growing spiritually, evolving, and this transformation is preparing you for a better version of yourself, aligned with the destiny that Allah has written for you. You no longer follow a path traced by external circumstances, but a path illuminated by the divine light which guides each of your steps. If you have recognized these signs in your life, know that you are on the verge of experiencing a transformation that only Allah can orchestrate. Every trial, every moment of doubt, every prayer whispered in the secret of your heart has been heard. You are not forgotten, and your story is in the hands of the best planner. Don't let these signs go unnoticed. Take a moment today to draw closer to Allah, to renew your intention, and to give thanks even in uncertainty. Take one step towards Him, and He will take 1,000 steps towards you. If this video touched your heart, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe for more inspiring posts and leave a comment with your thoughts or a testimony. Together, let's build a community where we remember Allah's blessings and inspire faith. And remember, when you see these signs, Allah is already at work in your life. Trust in Him, for the rewriting of your history has already begun.